Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Marie and myself, Coach David Syvertson. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset. All right. Welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertson. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. and Coach Sam Marie. And we have a really special guest today. I've been looking forward to this conversation for days. I've been telling everyone about it. We have the founder of the newest craze in fitness raising. It's called Xenom. And this is Keith Barlow. He's in the airport. He's going to be flying to Dallas today. And he was kind enough to give us about 40 minutes of his time to really dive into what this is, because this is still a very new craze that is being introduced to the CrossFit space that a lot of people don't know that much about yet. And I use CrossFit Bison in New Jersey as an example, a very competitive gym. Quarterfinal start today. We had 69 athletes qualify for this stage, and we can't wait to get it going. And a lot of them don't know that much about Xenom, and I'm really excited to expose what it is to them, but also the CrossFit public. Keith, thanks so much for coming on today, my man.
No, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I'll make like one correction to that intro.
Okay. Yep.
This is not fitness racing. That would be my one point. Look, so very simply, if I were to explain Xenom to anyone listening, so Xenom is a CrossFit competition. We're a CrossFit partner, licensed event series. We've a really positive relationship with the CrossFit team. But we are a 2-day competition. Okay. Over those 2 days, you do 10 events. So we are the Decathlon of Fitness. That's a trademark term. And the goal of the competition across those 10 events is that we have a level of competition in there where none of it's easy, but there is an accessible level for anyone who is training regularly in a CrossFit gym. So there is a compete level, which is kind of your version of a scaled. That is not to say that it's easy. The movements are still hard. You're still snatching. You're still doing like pure CrossFit movements. And then that goes all the way through to an elite competition where the weights are super heavy. You're kind of game semifinals level people looking to compete in there. And then you can compete in this either as an individual or in a pair. So you compete in a pair, and if you do pair at the compete level, like that's it's still 10 events over 2 days, but that's a pretty accessible level. And the goal and the thought process behind it is there is this huge explosion of in-person physical events, and there is a real value to them. It is very clear that in-person physical experiences where people can put their fitness on display is something that the market is interested in. And I've spent the last 5 years running an agency called Fittest, which did the PR and the creative comms for High Rocks. I know the High Rocks founders, Christian and Mo, very, very well. I spoke to them a lot about this concept as I was building it. And my perspective was the lessons that we should be learning from High Rocks is not how do I make this easier and how do I make this super accessible and how do I attract the person from outside of a CrossFit box necessarily to come and do this. I think there are people outside of a CrossFit box that will come and do this, but that wasn't the focus. The focus for me was, I think based on the research that we did, there are still 4 million people who are pursuing constantly varied functional movements performed at relatively high intensity and seeking this broad work capacity across time and modal domains that is representative of the fitness that the people in CrossFit community are looking for. There are no competitions in the sense that, and that is not to say that I think the Open is not a competition or that Wodapalooza is not a competition. I was there in Miami. I was chatting with Dylan and the guys from the team there. That's also not to say that Rogue is not a CrossFit competition. But in terms of this global, standardized, comparable format of a competition that creates these CrossFit Games level experiences for, and when I say the everyday athlete, I've heard people go, it's not for the everyday athlete because my grandma wouldn't want to do this. Well, we've got that a little bit wrong. Like people are thinking that I'm trying to make a high rocks competitor, and I'm really not. I'm
Interesting.
trying to make a product very specifically for the CrossFit community and for those 4 million people who are already pursuing what I believe to be the most incredible form of fitness that exists, bar none, but that which doesn't have a competition. So at the moment, you have people going and doing a high rocks, or going and doing a marathon, or going and doing a challenge, which represents a very narrow expression of the time and modal domains within which CrossFitters develop capacity. So why don't we create the competition that encompasses all of that, and then learn the lessons that we should learn from businesses like High Rocks, which is, how do we do this at scale? How do we make it global? How do we make it something that the community can have a central pillar by which they can understand their fitness, they can test it, they can come back and try again and see where they progress. Yeah, that's the elevator pitch.
Yeah. Hey, that was awesome because I'm getting like fired up just listening to you talk about you are leaning into the CrossFit methodology. You're not leaning away from it. And that's something that it's music to my ears as a coach, as an athlete, as an affiliate owner, that right now we have over 24 people doing high rocks in New York City about 2 months from now. And it's cool. It's fun. They're bonding together. It's getting them to work on certain things, but it's getting them away in some ways from CrossFit, meaning we actually have people getting away from some of their CrossFit training and leaning into running more
Yeah,
or
100%.
machining more. Yeah.
I mean, underlying all of this is kind of my personal experience. And for me, discovering CrossFit, I discovered CrossFit about a decade ago. And
Okay.
it was the most transformational thing in my life, bar none, absolutely. When I found when I found the methodology, when I found the culture, and I found the impact it had on me, both in a physical and a mental capacity, like there is a line of my life, and it's like my quality of life, and then there's a point where it just suddenly ticks up, and um, my wife would say that's when I met her, but it's maybe a little bit before that. It was very quick. I met my wife in a CrossFit gym, and we built our first business. We built Fittest in that space. And so
Okay.
underlying everything is like my personal experience and my belief in this transformational power of training and competition. Um, and then when we were then, so about 9 months ago, I thought there was an opportunity to do this. And I
Okay.
spent a lot of time thinking then, okay, what are the things that have to be right, because obviously our community has like a self-defense mechanism within it, to put it politely. So what has to be right that people will, if I explain it to them, understand? So I thought we have to do three things. It has to be good for the individual. I have to create a competition format within the limitations of, I want to run 50 of these things in 5 years' time. I can't do a marathon row. I can't do swimming. There are like logistical elements that
Mhm.
preclude us from certain things. But that individual has to feel like the hard work, the virtuosity, the intensity that they apply to their training every day is rewarded then with their big day out, their Super Bowl moment, and they have to feel like, okay, this was made for me, and have pride then in what they were doing. Second was, and almost most important, is it had to be good for the affiliates. I spoke to a lot of affiliate owners as we were conceptualizing this, and what you just said is something that thousands of affiliate owners would say. They would say, one of the best things that's happened to us in the last few years is High Rocks. I got 50 new members. It's great. They bring a new dynamic to the gym. Flip side of that, there is now developed this culture of competition, and the competition is a High Rocks or whatever it is, and that is how these individuals in our gym who are inclined towards competition develop physical status, develop kind of personal fame in their life. It's from how they perform in the competition. And so, because they're getting that status and that fame from the competition, they want to do more of what that competition is. And if that is power output denominated, running biased, sled pushing and pull, like that's what they end up wanting to do more of. And it's very difficult then to say to someone, hey, you should really work on your muscle up. You should really work on getting that first toes to bar. You should really work on cleaning 220 pounds. Like,
Mm.
so for the affiliate owner, if I can then really create this culture and I can really kind of give people this opportunity to go and have this CrossFit Games level experience, where they then really, that's where they're getting their pride from. They're coming into the gym and they're saying, man, event 7, toes to bar, thrusters, and then it's the muscle up. And I know if I get one muscle up, it's going to put me into this whole other category of competitor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? The next one's in half a year. Like, Dave, I really want to get this muscle up. Like, that's going to be the thing. Like, that's what we want. And I think that's what competition does so well, is it gives people a direction of travel to go and pursue.
Right.
And then the third thing was it had to be good for the ecosystem. So I thought that we've had a tumultuous time over the last few years. I think there's been lots that's gone on. And I thought if I came in with like a traditional elite level competition that the 20 best men and 20 best women in the world can get excited about and everyone else can watch, like that wasn't something that was going to be beneficial. But if like you said, you got 65 quarterfinalists in your gym, amazing. Do they want to come and do CrossFit in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium under the lights and bring their wife and kids and have this amazing 2 days out and complete, like we carry on talking about, okay, if High Rocks is the marathon, then this is like the Ironman. Like
Yeah.
this is the thing.
Yep.
Like there are those people. There are those people in our community. And for me, I think at the moment we don't have that one thing which people can then coalesce around. And David can do it in New Jersey, and I can do it in London, and Sam can do it in Paris. And I got 4,000 points. David got 5. Sam got 6. Well, Keith wants to get to where David is. David wants to get where Sam is, and Sam wants to get where James Sprague is. Like,
Mhm.
cool. We know how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You're speaking the language. Absolutely. And I definitely want to talk about at some point, Sam's going to ask you a question about just some of the back end stuff, but I definitely want to touch on to like what the athlete experience will be. Not necessarily all the bells and whistles, but the actual competition itself, because the first thing someone said to me says, "Oh, that's 10 events is a lot." But the programming after we talk about what Sam's going to talk about, I really want to get into how you came up with the programming, because I'm a programming snob in some ways. Like I'm analytical on it. I love it. And I love the series of fitness tests. So Sam, touch on what you want to talk about, and then we'll dive into that.
Yeah, this is a quick run up. It's like literally 9 months. Your company was founded February 27th of this year. You got $15 million from Wonder Company, which is like a VC firm, I guess, with Jeffrey Katzenberg as one of the primary owners, and as well as a foundational equipment partnership with Rogue. And so I assume you gave this same elevator pitch to Jeffrey Katzenberg or his group or whomever. How did you manage to convince them? This is, like you said, a tumultuous time for CrossFit. There's a lot of uncertainty. This is not a growing sport, right? Numbers are down over the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. What did you do to convince them, hey, let's give 15 million to Keith Barlow and get him getting this off the ground? Let's do this. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So I had a background before we ran the agency, Fittest, for the last 5 years. Before that, I worked for a family office, for a Middle Eastern family office and investment, where I'd done everything from kind of acquisitions through disposals. So I spoke the language, and you had to make a financial model and knew how to pitch it. And look, I think when you're raising money from, not that this is a VC podcast, but when you're raising money from VC, you have to be able to paint a picture, obviously, of the future, of where you think you can make a really impressive, really big business, but you have to combine that with the ability and like a clear vision and plan of how to go and execute on that. And I think you can just look at the size of the community that the CrossFit space has had before, and how culturally impactful that has been. And for me, it was like, when you just look at the numbers, and when you kind of look at it from almost like like a like a probability perspective, it was like this is like an inversely um, favorable bet for me to make. There are 4 million people in the world who love the sport. There are still, like you said, you've got 65 people in your gym who are competitors.
Yeah.
Like, the thought that we can't turn that into, that we can't coalesce that into something bigger than just like this, the competitive team that you put together at your gym and someone else puts together at their gym, the thought that we can't put that into something that becomes a globally impactful business, is, to me, like, I can't understand why other people wouldn't see it. And I think when you look at the opportunities in fitness, you just look at Hyrox is like a unicorn, like a hair's breadth away from being a unicorn, being $1 billion company on an 8-year run up. And I think that so many people now are trying to copy the elements of Hyrox that you're never going to beat. Like, I don't think that we as CrossFit are ever going to beat a Hyrox on an accessibility perspective. But because the nature of what we do, like if we stick to the methodology and we stick to what we believe is true, and we believe in kind of carving out fitness in the far edges of the corner, then that shouldn't be our prime focus. And so if you go and you get swept up in a Hyrox, if you go, you get pulled into their gravitational pull. They're the Apple of fitness. They have the Berkshire Hathaway moat around them. It is very difficult to make an impact there. Where in CrossFit, I thought, that's a white space. Like, there is an existing use case for the product, there is a proven consumer market, and there is a demand that we know exists. Like, if I go and build something in this white space, people will come into it, and we've certainly seen that now. So we launched our Dallas tickets 2 weeks ago, with like a pretty expensive ticket, a product that no one's ever seen before. Essentially asking, I'm not well known in terms of everyone, the brands would know me because I've worked with most of the brands in this space and the agents, but like no one in the public knows me. And so to everyone who's already bought a ticket, like an immense thank you, because you're going on the faith that I'm going to put on a good weekend for you. But that demand has been super strong, way ahead of where we thought ticket sales would be at this point. So yeah, it's given me immense confidence in the capacity for this, and we have a lot more to come in terms of, like I said just before we got on this call, I'm heading to Dallas now. I'm going to be there for a week and a half. We'll start our community marketing activation where we'll be bringing the Xenom van, Xenom coaches, putting on one of the events from Xenom in local CrossFit gyms. We'll probably hit 50 plus CrossFit gyms.
Wow, that's awesome.
Before we get to the Dallas event. And like, for me, there's so much value in there, and it helps that I've had this transformational experience, and so I'm full dyed in the wool. Like, I believe in it. I think that the value in our CrossFit communities, if you're in a CrossFit gym and there's 100, 200 of you all pursuing this broad work capacity across time and modal domains, like, you're in an elite club. Like, you are in the best club in the world. And for me, there's so much value in the community. Like, so I'm super excited for this week to get out, get face to face with people, and like, yeah, I think competition brings out the best, not just in like the people who compete, but you think about like back to regional days and stuff, like when it's like, oh, like David's competing. Okay, amazing. Everyone go and watch, because it's going to be like a big day out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be in an arena. There's going to be a show, and that like strengthens the bonds within those communities.
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the day when regionals were a thing, those bonded affiliates together as much as anything.
Yeah.
And so now the athlete side, right? I know I have people watching this right now, or they're going to watch this and listen to this. You know, they're immediately going to go to the website. I'll screen share it right now. We'll talk about, we can't break down every workout. It would take too long. But as we're talking, I will maybe cycle through for those that are watching on YouTube and not listening, Spotify, Apple. I'll just go through a couple of the workouts just so you guys can get a feel for what you're looking at it. But honestly, check out their website. We'll put it in the link as well. The athlete,
before we start breaking this down, maybe I'll just say one thing. Is that
please,
we are slightly different, and there are people who will come into this and look at this from a programming perspective, and they'll say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? I have two missions for Xenon. One is to set the global standard for quantifying fitness in a sporting domain. And two is to create this platform for people to go and express that definition of fitness.
Okay.
So this is going to change by tomorrow, because none of the workouts are going to change, but tomorrow we will release the scoring system.
Yeah.
And I will talk a little bit more, and like, this is a great opportunity to start talking about it. So the theory and the reason for the picking of the events that we have is that according to the definition of fitness, which is an algorithm-based assessment using, similar to the decathlon, a formula based on statistical regression, based on a huge amount of data work, we believe with these 10 tests, you have, it's not perfect, it'll never be perfect because there's always like a bit of art in it, but we believe that you quantify fitness with the results of these tests in the best possible way that we could find, using a combination of art and kind of using a combination of stats and the art of programming.
Yeah.
So you have to take everything from that base.
Absolutely. And we could probably spend an hour talking about how this is scored. It's incredibly complicated. There's almost like an engineering background to it. But this is not a classic, where do you rank? That's how many points you get. I'm sure you guys will put out a lot more information on that. But when you look at events, right? My first thought as a coach, as an athlete, day one has 5 events. And as you said, CrossFitters are in defense mode all the time. They try to find holes in this and that. It can challenge us. It keeps us accountable, I know. But when you say 5 events in one day, can you give an approximate timeline of what is a day? Is it 8 hours? Is it 10 hours? Is it 5 hours? Like, how much time in between events do you roughly project on stuff like that?
So day one is a longer day because you have the run ski workout, which is our longest workout. So that's around like 6.5 to 7 hours, like start to finish. So but in that situation, like I said, it's not fitness racing. So you're going to come in, you're going to do your 1 rep max snatch. You have 3 minutes to warm up, and then you have 4 attempts every 90 seconds to hit your 1 rep max snatch. Right. You're then going to have like a 40 to 45 minute break, depending on what division you're in. It'll always be the same rest, so everyone has the same amount of rest. And then you'll come into event 2. Event 2 is a super cool workout. It looks super simple, but it's a great basic gymnastics test of wall walk and rope climb. You then have a very short break. You have 3 minutes of rest before you go into a 60-second echo bike sprint for max calories. And there are only 2 responses that we've had to this workout, and that's people in Camp A, which is quite small, being like, man, I love that. I'm going to go so hard. I'm just going to blow myself. But I'm going to absolutely crush it. And then like the much bigger camp of people who are like, why on earth did you program that? That's awful.
That's a great test. It's a great test. Such an underrated test too.
You've got to, in this, if you want to quantify fitness, you really have to like go back, read the first 10 CrossFit Journal articles. Think about the space under the graph. Think about what are the time domains and the capacities that we want to test. And you need to test this short duration. You know, like when first people come into the gym and they do Fran and they get Fran lung. And then after a couple of years, you don't get it anymore because you've learned to pace, because you've learned actually, I can stay in zone 3, zone 4. I'm not going to get into zone 5. You have to have a test that forces people into zone 5 to kind of get them there.
Yep. Completely agree.
So then you have a big gap. You have a big rest here, which people will need. So again, you have like another like 40 minutes to an hour. You're into then this 5-minute barbell AMRAP, which is at like a mid-heavy weight. So you're going to ask why everything's in kilos, not pounds.
Hey, I think, Americans get a little too spoiled with how stuff's always in pounds. So that's approximately DT weight, right? Maybe a little heavier than DT.
Yeah, it's like 155, 105.
Yeah.
for the elite, for 12 deadlifts,
Yeah.
9 front squats, 6 shoulder overhead, 3 thrusters. Then it looks like
Yeah.
135.95 for RX, and then 110.75 for the compete weights.
So we'll just explain.
Yep.
Because most competitions don't have to think about, okay, cross geographies, how do I ensure that the events are fair?
Yep.
The Olympics lift in kilos, and there's a very specific reason, I believe, why we do that, and that's just like plate loading. So if you do this workout at 70 kilos in Europe, and then we did it in pounds in the US, you'd have 3 additional plate changes, which makes a huge difference, not necessarily in this workout, but later in the competition, both in the snatch and in the clean workout. And when you're in a time domain limited event where you need to change plates, you don't want to end up in a position in 2 years' time when people are really competitive in this. Like, I'm going to go to Europe because I can change the plates 3 times less.
That's a great point.
That is the reason, which most people don't have to think on the logistics of like globalizing something.
Yep.
So then you've done your 5-minute barbell cycling, and you're then into event 5, which is a super cool workout. And I think we've learned lessons obviously from High Rocks, and bringing running into these events and using chip timers and making it super cool is a really valuable piece of the pie. So in this, you do a 3K chip timed run, you come in straight into a 2K echo ski. So this is obviously the biggest kind of aerobic capacity in endurance test that we have.
Right. And so this is just the visual, logistically at a whole different level of logistics here. There will be people in different age groups, different heats. All these,
So
if you're as a spectator,
together.
you're going to be seeing all this going at once.
Yeah, so you all compete together. So if Keith's competing in male RX, he's in a wave. He might be in a wave with Sam and David at the same time. And we would all be competing in the male compete category. So you'd have an overall winner of male compete. But then exactly the same way that triathlon or high rocks or lots of other sports run, you'd also be competing within those. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that.
That's okay.
Moving a bunch of
You're good. You're good. You're good. I barely hear it, and I hear you very well. So.
Okay. So then you'd also be competing within your age category. So Keith would be, I'm 34, Keith would be competing against everyone in the 30-34 category.
Got it.
40, if you're 47, you're in 45 to 49. Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. So day one's done. So you're, I mean, my back of the napkin math is that's about a 5 to 7 hour commitment. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
You come back the next morning, you say it, and you have not released event 6 yet. When should we expect to see that? Or is that a last minute surprise?
It's not a last minute surprise. No, the nature of it's known and knowable. Like that's the whole shtick of the event. Like we want people to know what they're doing, and I'm not going to release an event 6 that suddenly people are like, oh God, like it's like maximum underwater swim lengths for distance. Hold your breath for like we won't be coming in with something like that. I think event 6. So the plan. So we release the scoring system tomorrow. The rule book is ready to go, and the plan is we release it next week. So the rule book then would have season structure. Like we want everyone to understand exactly what they're doing. And then so event 6 is we've got a few other things to do. Obviously, we've got a big partnership with CrossFit that we haven't really talked about very much. So there's a bunch of stuff coming on that. So yeah, then event 6 probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But it's cool. It's a twist, but it will be very familiar to people as well. It won't be something that they're like, oh God, this doesn't make any sense.
I know you're going to talk more about scoring, but I just want to ask really quickly. So if you look at decathlon scoring, there are benchmarks, right? So you get 1,000 points per event. For example, for the decathlon, a 400-meter run, you get 1,000 points if you hit 46.17, 900 points if your time is 48.19, and then so on and so forth. And so my guess is like you're going to have a benchmark time or weight for like say your 1 rep max snatch. Like let's say it's 300. And then you get 1,000 points. But if you go over that, you can actually make more than 1,000 points, right? Because there are people in the decathlon who run faster than 46 and they get 1,100 points or something like that. So my guess is you're going to do something similar to the decathlon
Exactly.
scoring.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So the scoring system is pretty much exactly the same, slightly different. Obviously, the decathlon is seeking to identify the individual with the greatest athletic capacity by testing them across 10 different athletic disciplines. We're seeking to find the person with the greatest work capacity by testing them across 10 different disciplines. So slightly different in terms of our intention. And so we really are focused on work capacity.
Can you tell us what the benchmark is for the 1 rep max snatch? Can you reveal that for us? I want to know what 1,000 points is.
I mean, we're going to release it tomorrow, so
All
why
right.
not?
Okay.
It's 153 kilos.
Okay.
So
All right, now I got
it's
to do the
not.
math.
So we're not setting it. So we're not setting it like, oh, it's 225 kilos because that's the Olympic gold medal. Obviously, that's not
330. That's 337 pounds. So
yeah.
oh, so that will earn you 1,000 points in the 1 rep max. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll start our snatch cycle tomorrow, Sam.
Okay.
Look, there's a combination here of we did a combination of elite athletes testing. We did a combination of like quite a lot of statistical work on, okay, what are historical records? What do we, based on physics, based on biology, what do we think is feasible that kind of the best performer in the CrossFit community can achieve in this event for the 1,000 points? That is not, and obviously, you say 153 is crazy, but if an Olympic weightlifter just comes along and says, okay, well, I'll come and do it because I know I can snatch 180, they might come in and get 1,200 points in that, but then they get 200 points in the running workout. And the way that we've worked the algorithm, it accounts very much for the statistical outlier, because and it gives you the answer. So across the 10 events, David is like, okay, I think that my biggest hole in my fitness is my Olympic lifting. I'm going to go and I'm going to hammer the snatch. And over the course of 6 months, from your last competition, you add 7 kilos onto your snatch. Okay, fantastic. But you did 30 seconds slower in the endurance workout and you did 4 less muscle ups in event 7, the muscle up workout. And actually your total score came down. Well, you have the quantification of, did your fitness improve? According to our understanding of it, because you lost capacity in somewhere else, you didn't. Or maybe you did, but we've never really known what the answer is there.
Yeah.
Because we've not had this test where it's you versus the test, and this gives you very much that.
I think
it'll present such an interesting job for the coaches. It'll present such an interesting job for the people whose job it is to figure all this stuff out. And like,
yeah,
I'm not the coach, and I'm never going to tell anyone how to get ready for Xenom. Like that's not my job. That's the job of the coaches in the gym and the affiliates. But yeah, do you want to do day 2 as well, and I can explain the rest of day 2?
Yep. So, this is the event. This is 7, right?
Yeah, this is event 7. So at the elite level, it's toes to bar, dual dumbbell hang snatch, and then it's muscle ups. And I can maybe explain a little bit here in the scoring system. So you have something, so you have an algorithm and you have something called a C score. So a C score is the progressivity component of how we award points. So you can have a C score, which we have in this. So in the first section, so if you're looking at compete here, you've got toes to ring, single arm dumbbell snatch. The way the C score is applied is the C score for the reps in the first part of the workout is lower. So your athlete, the first job is get through these 3 rounds. And in exactly the same way that you have it in the open or something where you get to a certain point and then the challenge is to get to the next one. You then start to progressively accrue more points for the workout, for the elements of the workout that are higher value. So by the time you're getting into the bar muscle ups or into the ring muscle ups in the elite version, that's where you're then banking your bigger points. And you want that because you want to reward those people with the higher capacity.
Got it.
We kind of looked at, okay, theoretical development of an athlete, metabolic conditioning, gymnastics, weightlifting, sport. Like, are we rewarding people in that system? Are we rewarding people on a pro rata basis? And we believe, and we've done an awful lot of stats work on it, that is representative in this system. And so from tomorrow, you'll be able to come on the website, plug in what scores you think you will get, and you'll be able to see what your potential EPI score is.
Oh, that's
and then
great.
the sport element of it is come and do it on the day.
Yeah.
Now, these were programmed by Motion, which is a UK-based CrossFit team that finished 4th in 2024. Did you get any input from CrossFit HQ at all, or anyone else, any other consultants, or did they do it solely by themselves to figure out these 10 events?
So they did the programming, and then we have done quite a bit of consulting, but more on the stats side of things, then to make sure that, okay, so obviously when you start something like this, you have 1,000 different events and different ideas. And do you just do like a max gymnast? Do I just do max toes to bar? Is that a better test? And we then ran through, from a stats perspective, lots of different combinations of these tests. And these were the tests that we found in combination, for whatever reason, gave us the most balanced results.
Did Dave Castro give his blessing?
Yes, in the sense of I had 2 pretty long phone calls with him that ran through everything, but he did not say, yeah, I like these workouts, or no, I don't like these workouts. Like there was no direct input from him.
Got it.
Okay. Interesting. All right. This is event 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like a pure metabolic conditioning workout. So burpees over the line, and that's like a lateral step over burpee, or jump if you want to, but we have no kind of 2-foot landing rules or
2-foot takeoff.
I don't want to get yeah, I don't want to
Smart
get
move.
that point.
You have done CrossFit for a long time.
Yeah. So you're into then echo ski, bike, burpees again, echo bike, ski, and then you finish again with burpees over the line as an AMRAP.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good gritty one. That's where a lot of the high rocks people will kind of get into that one. The machines, the body weight stuff. How hard can you go? And 12 minutes, like 12 minutes is like that average time domain of CrossFit workouts / CrossFit open workouts. And like, that's just a pain cave type. Very inclusive on that. So now we got 2 more. 9 scares me. This is where lifters, you have your time. Everyone that's complaining about the quarterfinal workouts. Here we go. This is going to be this is a fun one to look at.
Yeah. So obviously this is the elite, and I think I don't want people to look at this and think, oh God, like I have to come in and do that weight. Like obviously you don't. At the compete level, this is a much more reasonable workout, and at a level that most people in a CrossFit gym are gonna be able to work through. Like it's not a super long time. It's 8 minutes. Like you're gonna be able to work through these barbells. But yeah,
on the US side, it would be 135.75, finishing at like 220/155, which is like reasonable.
We've produced a really simple, like kilo to pounds conversion document that you have there, so that you know like what the plates are. Yeah, so you know like what the plates are as you get into this. But yeah, you hit here 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and then you have an AMRAP on a heavy bar. And yeah, reward the lifters here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you visually, are you changing your own weights? Is that part of the workout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why it's so critical then that everything is in kilos,
plates.
because then you have a uniform system of changing the weights.
Yep. And I like the fact this one last, because this, to me, when I'm visualizing doing this workout, I'm like, wow, this would be a tough workout. Where is it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So if you go and read your like L1 or something, and you obviously look at the time domains, short, medium, long, like you need to make sure that you have these long tests in there.
Absolutely.
And we obviously thought quite carefully, and obviously look, 10 events in 2 days is a lot of events. But if you look at like the amount of eccentric loading and the amount of the number of short workouts there are in there, I think like it's a fairly balanced approach. And obviously in this workout, you're hitting your high rep gymnastics, but you're disrupting them as well with the lunges that kind of limit a little bit the ability to just, obviously, if you had something like a Cindy in here or something, then people are just absolutely flying through reps.
Yep.
So in this way, we still reward the gymnast, we still reward the higher level of proficiency and conditioning, and I think that's such like a huge part of gymnastics at the higher level. Like lots of people can do 6 handstand push-ups or 8 chest to bars, but how good are you at cycling those?
Right.
Again, I didn't program it. I'm not the programmer. I've done competitions, but I like the way that this then pulls through, and yeah, at the compete level, with scaled movements.
Great workouts, like top to bottom. Really, I mean, I do think it sounded like you went really deep into the weeds of finding the most perfect combination of workouts, loading, skills, time domains. Like as I'm reading through these workouts, I'm like, he definitely read the level 1 guide, because that's, you really do touch on anything, include, I mean, the fact that you put the 60-second bike in there, like that is a huge thing that I think a lot of programmers miss out on. Like that 1 minute pure, like you will taste blood after time domain, and then everything else, the loading. I think, it really does look like it wasn't someone that was programming on their computer on a Saturday afternoon one time. That put a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of thought into it.
Yeah, no, and look, it's CrossFit. People are going
Yeah.
to say I would have done overhead pistol squats, because that's like the most complicated. That's a true test of unilateral. And like, cool, like go make your own competition.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm really like want to support you guys and see you guys do well as you get more popular and as you get better. It comes with that criticism that people love to give. Like, I bet at some point Hiller's gonna have a field day with some people and standards. How much are you thinking about the judging component? Like, how are you finding judges? Is this volunteers? Are they paid judges? Where are you trying to source that from? Because I know that is going to be a big part of what you guys have to deal with in the coming months.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a range of roles available, everything from kind of volunteer through to stipended paid positions.
Okay.
And super critical for us that the judging in this like meets the standards of the industry, meets the standards of what we do. We've hired recently Wilson Pack as our events and ops lead in the US. Great guy.
Yes.
Super happy to have him on board. We're working with Frameworks, who are one of the agency partners who put on Rogue Invitational and the NFL Combine, and so like on between the two of them, super confident that we have a really strongly staffed and a really well trained set of judges and volunteers on that front. And for me, like we're a premium product. We're doing it in a really, really expensive venue. And so the like premium for me then means everything has to be premium. Like every moment of the athlete experience then has to be premium.
Right.
And so yeah, we're super focused on the game day being the first game day being like a level above what people have expected, unless they were people who were going to the CrossFit Games. And that's again, like it's kind of the thing that you're trying to answer for is like, okay, the 20 best people in the world get this incredible experience. Like, how can I give that to thousands of people? How can I give them that moment under the spotlight and that moment on the floor?
Yeah. So, I mean, to wrap this up in terms of future, I know right now you're so focused on Dallas, but you sound like you have a big time vision. Can you touch on what the goal is for how many races you would want throughout the year? Are you already looking at other locations specifically?
Yeah. So we're already contracted for 2 more. So London, one other, and then we'll do basically 4 in 2026. So we'll definitely do London. We'll definitely do Dallas. 2 others for sure in 26, and then across the next 12 months, the plan is 11. So and that would be 6 US, 5 Europe.
Is it Miami and Paris, or are those not for sure at this point?
It is most likely Miami and Paris.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say that it's 1,000%. Just there's like little with all of these, there's like little bits still to do, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Quick question. What about safety for athletes? Like you have 2,000 athletes at these places. They're doing complicated movements. There's some risk, more than I would say high rocks in terms of some of these movements. So what are you doing to ensure safety for athletes during the competition?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we need to follow absolutely the um, industry best standards for athlete safety, and that's everything from kind of pure medical and ensuring that we have a team on site, not just like obviously you do an event, you have to have ambulances and everything on site, but yeah, plugging into, and there are some incredible people in the space in terms of medical safety and medical procedures. Not even just for like the big things, not even for like the big disastrous moments, but someone gets a sprain, someone gets hurt, like making sure that that is all really looked after. And then from the flip side of that is then like from a logistics and ops perspective is health and safety. And there's a Bible. There's a Bible for these events then that again you've you've got to look at like the best practice within the industry of CrossFit, but you've also then got to look at like where are the other big global series of events and how do they approach things, and speak to tennis, speak to football, speak to other organizations and understand how they approach things. Yeah.
Real quick question also. Are you going to, let's suppose Xenom really takes off. Are you going to offer like certification like Hyrox does to affiliates? Are you going to have coaching resources or continuing education, any of that sort of stuff to help support affiliates with this?
Look, I think the future of the business is relatively unknown. I know what we're going to be doing over the next 5 years, which is building competitions, building community, giving people an opportunity to go and compete. I do not have an interest in opening gyms and in running affiliate. Like you have to think with all of this, what can I do better than anyone else? And there's so many options for an affiliate owner right now, whether it's their CrossFit affiliation or whether there's their Hyrox affiliation, or like what do I add in the mix of that no one else can do? And unless I like was thinking to myself, oh, I've got a I think I've got the answer from a competition perspective, I'd rather invest all my time into creating something amazing on that front.
Great. Yeah. So yeah, Keith, thanks so much for the time, man. I know your head's probably all over the place with all the travel and what's coming up, but I'm really impressed by you on so many different fronts. I've never talked to you before this, other than just asking you to give us some time for the podcast. I'm really impressed by this. I'm really pumped. Like just learning about where your kind of North Star is and the inception of the idea. It really does seem like this big throw, this Hail Mary, if you want to call that, is in the right hands. And like, I really do think that you can have a lot of success with this because it does feel like, as you said, it fills a white space in the market that people are absolutely desiring. One of the issues. But
I agree with. I forgot one last question really fast. I'm sorry. We'll never have an opportunity to ask again. What about integrity? What about
the judge? Yeah.
Sporting, anti-doping,
good question.
Juicing? Like, what are you doing anything in terms of legitimacy? Like some guy comes in and he's so like jacked and juiced and he destroys this. Like, what kind of measures are you going to be taking to protect Xenon's integrity in terms of the sport?
Yeah, obviously. So look, we released the full rule book next week, and we'll go into detail on all of that. Obviously, we're in the infancy of this thing. We're not necessarily coming in with everything 100% dotted and the T's crossed. That said, the intention 100% is the way that kind of WADA and drug testing and everything works is you can either be the full member or you can sign up to the rules and work yourself towards that. Absolutely the approach that we need to take. At the same time, it's that funny piece of mass participation, and you have to really think very carefully about how you put these structures and rules in place to ensure that they work across everyone who's participating and they capture people in the way that you want them to. So we've still got a little bit more work to do on that. And yeah, we'll have more details coming out, obviously with the rule book next week and on an ongoing basis. But again, the intention is let's look at the global standards. Let's look at what the most legitimate sports in the world are doing. Let's take those examples and let's follow them.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks again, Keith. Yeah, I won't recycle everything I said, but from Bison, from New Jersey, we'll definitely, I can almost guarantee you're going to see some athletes signing up. I don't know about Dallas because it's so soon, but I can almost guarantee, Dan Coda, I'm looking at you, that you will, you'll see some Bison athletes there, and whatever we can do to support you guys as you take off, because I think this is really going to feed into making CrossFit affiliates stronger, CrossFitters as athletes stronger, and just give everyone else just another thing to train for. So really appreciate all the effort that you put into it.
No, guys, thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we see you at some of the events.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Keith. Safe travels, my man.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.